Well, I wasn't able to get out fishing last winter because of daily appointments. I was really beginning to miss my pike fishing. Now I can no longer fish the water I've been fishing for the last nigh on 40 years, which I've been very successful on. It's a very unique water that produces a lot of upper doubles and 20s, but I can no longer carry the gear from the car down to the lake, so I've had to give that up. But there are some pretty good pike in the local carp syndicate that I've joined, so I'm determined to try and get out and do a bit of piking this winter. And this isn't going to be a weekly vlog. It'll probably be a compilation of all the trips, because I don't think success is going to be that easy. I had 3 trips last February when I was allowed out, and I managed 1 drop run, so I'm not expecting big things, but there is a chance of a lump. So I'm going to try and do it for the next couple of months before I get back into the carp fishing, and hopefully be able to get 1 or 2 fish along the way, and maybe that 30. Anyway, we'll see. I can't remember a run of pike fishing like this since the early 80s. This is crazy. Well, if that's not worth getting out of bed for, I don't know what is. Well, this is the dawn of the second session. It's quite busy on here. I think there's 8 people bivvied up. Considering the time of year, that's busy to me. Anyway, the first choice swim that I was going to go to was occupied, so I've gone back to the swim I was on Monday. The conditions, to my mind, are a lot better. It's more overcast. There's going to be less sunshine around. There's a nice southwesterly, southeasterly blowing. It's not too cold. And for those interested in failing rigs, on the left hand rod is a legged mackerel, and on the right hand rod is a float paternosted sardine. And the quest continues. Well, it could have been a 30, but at least we're up and running, and it has saved the blank. Onwards and upwards. Now, I don't know if it's part of the syndicate rules, but this year I've actually started using semi-barbless trebles for my pike fishing. And I do have to say that with my aging eyes, it's very difficult to see in the early morning darkness when I'm setting up which treble has actually got the barb on. So what I've started doing is putting a bit of Tipex on the shank of the hook that's got the barb. So as I say, when I'm baiting up in the early morning gloom, it's easier to see which treble has got the retaining barb on for the bait. And it does make life a lot easier. Top tip for the winter with bad eyes. I'll be very glad when I've had enough of this. Well, cracking start to the morning. Got up like a lark, well, as larky as it gets at my age. Traffic on the road was relatively light considering, and then when I got here, unloaded everything. Could I open the lock on the door? Could I? Could I hell? I didn't want to force it because I thought I'd know my luck, I'll snap the key in the lock. So I tried it, left it for a bit, tried it, left it for a bit, I had a cup of coffee, tried it, left it for a bit, by which time it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter. There's no point in going home because of the rush hour traffic, so I'll hang about and see if anybody turns up. Fortunately, Joe got up, opened the gate, let me in, showed me my error. I need to be a bit more forceful when I'm pulling it, apparently. There you go. Be a bit more forceful when you're pulling it. Anyway, the rods are out. It's a lovely day. I mean, it's nice and calm. It's overcast. It's not ridiculously cold. No excuses. Just got to catch, haven't you? Even the magic spray doesn't seem to be working at the moment. It's enough to make you take up carp fishing. You can see from the occasional scattering of fry that there's obviously predators in the area. I'm assuming it's pike, but I can't even get them to react to a moving bait with a bit of sink and draw. Perhaps live baiting's the key. Good morning and Happy New Year. This is my first trip out in the new year. I mean, this time last year I was in a bit of a mess and I've seemed to, on a lower scale, repeated it this year after spending most of December running around celebrating birthdays and Christmas and going to Grand Prix and Rugby Sevens and then spending most of Christmas dressed up as Mickey Mouse running around entertaining the grandkids. I kind of collapsed in a big heap for a week and haven't been able to move. But I managed to get out this morning, feel much the better for it. And it's not too busy, the weather's perfect again for a bit of pike fishing. This time I'm going to do a bit of live baiting, hopefully if I can manage to catch some of these prolific roach that are in here. Fingers are crossed at the moment. I've got two dead baits out at the moment whilst I try and catch some live baits, and it's all looking rather lovely. I think we might be in here. I tell you what, don't realise how much fight you can get out of pike, having spent years fishing them out of shallow water. Happy days indeed. Woohoo! Happy days. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's not that big. Absolutely fantastic. That's a bit more like it. Hang on, let's try a bit of that before. There we go. 23 £, 6 ounces. Well happy with that. Now just calm down a minute, eh? Yep, I know. There we go. How about that? Got a hell of a gash on the other flank, which I'll put a bit of treatment on. We'll take it from there. Oh, I don't know if that's a cormorant done that. Anyway, put some stuff on her before she goes back. Happy days at last. Look at that. That's pike fishing. Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, but I didn't weigh the first one. Maybe it was somewhere between 12, 14 pounds. And that was on a dead bait. And then about half an hour ago, just after 11 o'clock, I suppose. Yeah. A lovely 23 pounds, 6 ounces. And it looked, unfortunately, had a big, looked like a cormorant gash on its side. But hey, 23 pounds. Not to be knocked. So I'm well chuffed. That was on a live bait. So another live bait's gone out. And you can never have enough, can you? So fingers crossed that something else will turn up in the next couple of hours before I've got to leg it. Fantastic. All that and a drop run. At least the live bait got slapped anyway. It's gone back out. Unfortunately, it's time to start packing away. It's always a big drag when you've had a couple of fish, but there it is. So happy days, bit of success for a change. So I'm going to do a few more of these to complete the video, and then I've booked another midweek session at Blackthorn towards the end of February, and that's going to be the start of the carp fishing again. I think there's some really good fish been coming out over Christmas and the New Year, and hopefully they'll still be at it and the weather will still be kind in February. But in the meantime, I'm through at the bits. Caught some pike again. I'm not a complete fool after all. Well, there's been a complete change in the weather this week. There's a major storm came in yesterday afternoon. Gusts of 70, 80 miles an hour, torrential rain coming in from the southwest. So that's a good part of it. It's calmed down a bit overnight, but we've still got reasonably strong winds, and rain is constant, but it's not torrential. But obviously there's a bit of a chill in the air with the wind factor, but I am struggling this morning to catch live baits, and I don't know, I got buoyed with a bit of confidence last week with the live bait situation, but at the moment I've got the right hand rod out with a ledger dead bait and a left hand rod with a float pattern off the dead bait, and I'm struggling to get any live baits at all this morning. I'm going to give it about, I don't know, maybe another 3/4 of an hour trying to catch a live bait. If it's not going to happen, then I'm going to put the third pike rod out. Again, it'll probably be pattern off the dead bait somewhere. Straight out in front of me, probably. I've moved up to the corner swim this week. Mainly because I've heard reports of the fish are up here, but also to get out of the wind a bit. Anyway, we'll hunker down and hope for the best. Well, another day, another swim. Storm Brendan is still with us in a small way. It was quieter yesterday, but it's supposed to be coming back again. Anyway, we're in the teeth of the wind today for a change, and again we'll see what happens. Last time obviously nothing happened. The rain's due to be coming in a bit later on. I should imagine it's going to get very uncomfortable. Well, it would appear that Storm Brendan is picking up again, but I managed to get a couple of live baits, so they're out, and fingers are crossed, but who knows. Now that's a serious bit of wind coming in now. Well, that's another session almost done. Time to slowly start packing away. Another week of blanks, unfortunately, even though we had live baits out. I think we're due for some really cold weather coming in next week with some really high pressures. So whether we get out or not, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I think we'll call this one done, unfortunately. Well, you couldn't ask for a bigger contrast this week. Last week we had Brendan, hurricane winds, torrential rains, air pressures down in the late 900s. This week we got -2 and 3 degrees, heavy frosts, ice everywhere, air pressures in 1044 this morning. Complete contrast. It's supposed to be clouding up, but there's nowhere near it this morning. We've got big blue skies and a big orange ball rising. But I managed to get a couple of early baits out, so I've got two rods fishing at the moment while I continue to try and catch some more bait. Well, I know a couple of fish came out yesterday. Fingers crossed we can do the same today. Well, the fishing for the live baits has slowed right down now. Had a couple of early fish and then it went quiet, and then just rather large perch turned up then, and even that's gone quiet now. But I'm surprised the baits haven't been hit this morning. I've got to be honest. I would have thought something would have been active out there. But there you go. That's fishing. Certainly my fishing for the moment. Well, when I set out on this quest to catch a 30-pound pike, I knew it was going to be difficult. But I have to say, I didn't think the fishing was going to be this difficult. Just to catch fish. Now, I have had a very nice 23-pounder, but I mean, it stands alone, really, amongst nothing. And now the fish have been coming out. A couple came out yesterday, but I would have thought, even, you know, especially with live baits, there'd be something taken, even if it's just small fish. But I don't know. It's quite disappointing, really. I thought I'd be catching. I've never known pike fishing to be this difficult. But there we are. It is what it is. But this could well be the last trip, because it's getting a bit disappointing. Anyway, if this turns out to be the last one, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and if you feel the need to hit the like button, that also helps with the algorithms apparently. It's all beyond me, but there we are. Cheers for now. Yes, I know I said last week would probably be the last one, but failure got the better of me, so I've come out for just one more chance. It's quite quiet on here this morning. You've got a nice little southwesterly going. I've got a couple of dead baits out while I'm trying to catch some live baits, but maybe if I don't catch anything you won't get to see this. So you keep telling me blanking keeps it real. You can have too much reality though, can't you? Anyway, fingers are crossed again for another day. Well, I've given up with the live bait, and the wind's getting a bit cold on the hands and I'm struggling to fish properly, so I've packed that up, and I've put out another float paternosted bait in the little swim off to my left. So I've now got 3 rods out fishing for pike, and the wind is quite bitter really. It's colder than it was when it was frosty the other week, but there we are. Happy days, eh? Now when I'm fishing a dead bait on a running ledger, I tend to pop it up. Now if I'm using a mackerel tail or something like that, I'll just put a plug of balsa wood in there. But if I'm using a roach or something like that, possibly the old-fashioned way, It's just to pump a bit of air into either flank, just under the skin. You can see it pumping up. So that'll just give you a short rise, so maybe just sitting on the tail. If you want to pop it up a bit higher, I prefer to use a balsa plug. Just work it in slowly and then break it off at the appropriate point. Now that couldn't pop it up, so she's actually sitting off the bottom, the depth of the trace. The other thing I do when I'm ledgering, I think one of the biggest problems is the lead parting away from the fish and running up the line. Now the last thing you want if you've got a totally popped up bait is for that to be 3 or 4 foot off the bottom. Or if it's just a dead bait line on the bottom, you don't want your lead away from the trace, because you're just inviting bite offs potentially. So what I tend to do is use a PVA. Oh, my hands are a bit freezing. PVA cable tie to hold the two together. So when that casts out, the lead stays exactly where it is. It's no more than the length of the trace away, so you're not likely to suffer from any bite offs or anything like that. That's my simple way of doing it. Well, this is definitely my last pike fishing trip. I'm going to have a bit of time off and then prepare myself for a few days at Blackthorn Fishery later on in February. And that's been fishing really well over Christmas. In fact, since Christmas, 240s have come out. So no pressure there then. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers for now.